Welcome back, my friend. This is the first interview of 2022. And today, I have a very special guest. If you love Mythic Legions like me, you know that this figure needs a story. And it that also a background, a castle, a landscape to build your story. And there is someone in US in a company named Crashbox Custom that did awesome diorama pieces for our Mythic Legions and close the future Cosmic Legions line. And the name of this guy is Kristopher Pinkerton. Welcome, Chris, to the show.
Hey, Alan, nice to be on here with you. What a beautiful introduction. I don't think in any of my past careers or lives I have had such a brilliant introduction.
That you like this style of the show, and
It's
I am happy to
fantastic.
have you because, as I mentioned in the song, I like your work and I got some of your stuff, and I think especially I talk about Mythic Legions because I'm falling in love with Mythic Legions these days. And when you got this figure, the first thought that I got in my mind was this figure needs a landscape, needs something around them to build a story. Because I started a stop motion project on this channel, and so at the time I created my diorama like a big box with the intern of a castle, a throne room basically. But
Okay.
for at the time I realized I need something to create the outside of this castle, the corridor, the everything surrounded. And when I discovered, because I saw for the first time your mythic pieces used by Jeremy, also the amazing in their photos or videos, I discovered that you are behind that. Oh, wow! This is awesome. This is perfect for this line in general. So rewind everything and tell me how you discover your talent and how start Crashbox Customs.
So thanks for having me on again. And Alan, I familiar with you from you did a great unboxing video when we shipped your pieces over there to Italy. I was so glad they made it safe. It's very nerve-wracking for us to ship international because you never know if it's gonna get there in one piece. But we haven't had any major issues lately, so I'm glad they came. So 2015, I'd say, I had gotten involved with my Realm of Collectors crew. Shout out to them. It's our logo behind it. And a friend of mine had started doing some toy photography, and I kind of got the itch to do that a little bit. And I saw people were using dioramas, and that's a friend of mine's like, yeah, I can make something for you, and he made it for me. We did a trade. He sent it to me, and I took some pictures on it, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. I see how he did it. So I started making some Transformers based pieces. I was a real big Transformers collector back then. Some logo stuff that I probably shouldn't have made logos, but mainly for you familiar with the Detolf shelves, the IKEA Detolf, Alan?
Yes.
Yeah, are you familiar with the Detolf
A little,
shelf?
I saw that a little bit smaller than the typical pieces. I saw that. It's
Yes,
correct.
right. So we just made these Transformer backdrops, and then we made some different urban set stuff, more for Marvel Legends and stuff like that. Um, then I hooked up with The Amazing, started doing some stuff with him, and um, worked with Mezco a bit, and then started doing some Mythic Legion stuff. We did that big castle beginning of 2020, and then the bad stuff happened. I don't know how you like to say that on your channel. And I was home a lot, and my wife and I had really invested some money in equipment here on our diorama front, and we started doing the mythic pieces. Started out just selling it through Instagram and Facebook, and it kind of got out of hand really quick. So we set up a website from an existing website that she had for another business that we had at one point. and started taking orders through the website. And it's been a crazy couple years for us. Like I said, started back in 2015, but the past couple years has just been, yeah, it's been crazy. 2020 and 2021 for the business.
Yes, it was crazy to everyone and every place in the world because
Yeah,
yes, it's a. But in the same time, what become more important, in my opinion, create this stuff because is a creativity, is the art in general.
mm,
The art in general is a necessary escape, especially in the bad moment of the lives, because give you a window in another world to forget a little bit the problem and the reality. So uh,
sure.
is an important thing, the arts in general. Anything in these strange years of our life, especially the people that they maybe they haven't these feelings in general, understand a little bit how the arts is important, read a book, listen a song, collecting toys, and so collecting toys related also have the diorama pieces for that. So I think is important. Tell me how is the process, for example, when you decide to create something new for one of your line, how works? You sketch something? What is the behind the scene process to create one of your pieces?
Right, great question, Alan. I normally just try to find some inspiration through a movie or something, and go from there. Try to find a picture of a place. I have a lot of reference books. I'll go through those and just look at different things. Um, and from there, I lay everything out. Sometimes I'll just scratch build a piece, but oftentimes I'll just go straight. I use design software. We have two CNC um, machines that work on the foam, and then we've also got a laser cutter that works on different materials, all sorts of different materials. Combination of those two, I decide how we're going to make it, how many pieces it's going to have, um, how long it's going to take, how many assembly hours is it going to be, and just try to figure it out from there. And we normally make a paint sample. Um, we may make 3 paint samples before we have a final product that we want to put out.
Cool. So also, by the way, my favorite your piece that I missed because I start this Mythic Legions project to go into the Mythic Legions last the April of 2021.
Okay.
But my favorite is something that I never got because it was sold out. Is the big door that you created for the Mythic pieces? I remember the door that you can open. So
Huh. Well, it may be an interesting 2022 for you there, Mr. Allen. Just stay
okay,
tuned. I'll leave it at that. We may
awesome.
we may be returning to some
For example,
pieces.
to create something like that because it's not like only it's a pieces that you can. I remember you can. I saw your videos and your channel when you talks about that. You can open the door.
Hmm.
Was a little bit more difficult to create just a static pieces that put behind all works. For example, the creation for that when you can create some part that you can move. There is something to move inside.
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. That was a very challenging to figure out how to make. In we make however many of these doors that get ordered, and we sold a lot of doors. And I have people asking me every week, "Are you going to offer the door again?" So it's not 100% certain, Mr. Allen, but it is. It is. I'd say you got about an 85% chance that you'll see that piece offered again this year. But to design it, I have to once again find either an image or come up with something. And for that door, I think I made 4 different versions of it before I found something that I like. Um, and that I'm actually looking at. I've got one of them here. They got they got damaged in transit and sent back, and I fixed it. So I can't sell it, but that's what I have. My all my parts are broken parts that I've fixed. Um, to get them to line up to shut correctly was challenging. Assembling the hinges was challenging. If anyone who has one of those out there, there's a very thin piece of foam on the inside of the door that we decided on finally to even everything up so they shut firmly. 3D printed the little heads and everything. That find that file the way we wanted to do the door knocker there was challenging, and the door handle I can remember being a nightmare to figure out. So there's a lot of challenging pieces on there. At the time, I think it was 4 pieces of foam we put together, and I had to lay out each one of those. So yeah, any of this stuff to design, the way we put it out is really it's really challenging, but it's satisfying in the end when you make a product people enjoy.
I think that a challenge in general for an artist is important because when you become, because yes, you have more things to pass through, to fight sometimes against some problems, some issue during the work in progress. But after that, you go in another level of your art. In general, for each type of art, when you got some challenge, you got an opportunity to growing up, to grow as an artist. In my opinion, what do you think about?
Yeah, I definitely feel that stagnation in art is the death of art. So I think you have to evolve what you're doing, and I think about that a lot, and I'm constantly in my mind, trying to figure out what the next thing is between the different lines we have, and some other older projects we want to bring back. So not only sometimes do I want to revisit things, I want to say, well, these are the lessons that I learned from doing it last time. I want to incorporate that in to make a better piece of art for people to enjoy.
Cool. And speaking of challenge, tell me something about the story of the diorama pieces that you created for the launch of the Cosmic Legions.
Yeah, sure. So I'd worked with Trevor at 1/6 Shooter. We had worked together a couple of times. I had a good relationship with him and with the Horsemen. So Trevor and Eric Treadway and I had gotten together at a toy show. I think it was over the summer, maybe, and talked about some ideas, and they got sent some sketches and a couple different inspiration pieces, and I designed the piece. It was all, that entire project is laser cut except some of the small little bits are 3D printed, but laid everything out, and I made a prototype out of foam just to see, hey, is this, want to make sure everybody's on the same page, and they were good with it, and tweaked it a little more and tweaked it again one more time before we really got to where we wanted to be for the photography pieces that Trevor wanted for the action figure reveals. And that orange and the gray, I think, really is really iconic for this line, and it really stuck with that. I've created I guess what I'd call a production prototype for that. I had at Legions Con. Still going to change a couple more things on it. I had a couple ideas. Cornboy came by the booth when we were at Legions Con, and we talked a little bit, and he had one suggestion that I just had to kind of source one piece to make it work, and I think I've found it. So I'm looking forward to being able to offer that sometime later this year, probably closer to when the figures are going to be in.
Yes, I think that when the figure comes out is the perfect time to comes out also with the diorama pieces for that.
Yeah.
Another things that I like so much of your works, of your dioramas, that are very versatile. So you can have different pieces with maybe two. For example, I got for you, I believe, one arch and two windows and some mythic floor. Also the columns I got. And with this piece, you create many different options. You can have different landscape background scene for your show, for my stop motion, for example. And I like this idea that you can with this with three diorama pieces from your Crashbox custom, you create different scene. I like this idea, the versatile side of this project. Tell me how start this idea.
So yeah, so you're right on the money, and I'm glad that you may have never heard me say some of those things, but that's my exact feelings on it. I always say this jokingly, but I don't want to tell you how to play with your toys, right? So I don't want to create this diorama set that really can only do one thing. Okay. So working with D Amazing and Trevor to an extent, I've come to the conclusion a lot of the time if it's a shoot that needs to be done for a specific figure, right? So we're gonna do trying to think. So let's say the Casino Gomez, we need a casino for that. But if you think about it, if you're making a movie, Mr. Allen, and you call me and say, hey, we need a casino set, am I gonna make a complete casino? Am I gonna make the fronts and backs and everything? No, I'm gonna make panels that we can prop up that look like a casino, right? I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan or not, but all the sets and stuff that they make for like the Mandalorian, for example, they're just fronts. The backs are just plywood and screws, right? So there's nothing fancy about it. So, building in that thought, but at the same time, like all of our stuff, like what you got from us, the backs are all painted black. Everything's finished. It doesn't look like it's the material that it's made of. But at the same time, I want you to be able to use that however you want. If you want to use the back side for whatever, it's right there to use that way. But the fronts, you can line up however you want. You can make a half circle out of them. They don't have to connect any certain way. They're thick enough where they stand up on their own. You don't have to worry about having like a base plate attached to it or any magnets to hold it down. On the Mythic stuff, we use magnets more on the complex set we have, for example. But even with that, you don't have to use the magnets to hold anything together. They come with end pieces that hold them up. So, you can stack them up. You can do whatever you want. There's so many different things. And I'm always fascinated to see what people do with this stuff, the different ways that they use it. And I love, I try to share every time somebody tags us on social media, on Instagram mainly. I love to share those pictures in our story. Hopefully that inspires other people to use our stuff along with, other items, other people's stuff to create some crazy environments for their photography and their displays on their shelves.
Cool. And also, by the way, it's good for an artist, in my opinion, when you start a project. In general, when you start a project, you don't know how works this project until when you start to sell that and discover if works. No, like when you publish a book, you don't know what happened later. But
Right.
now you know that are very popular. Your, especially in my opinion, but maybe because I'm into Mythic Legions a lot. But I saw they're very popular. Your diorama pieces, like you mentioned a few moments ago. Many people use your pieces to create is thing and something like that. And as an artist, tell me what is your feelings when you discovered that your project was good also for the fan of this line in general, or the other lines that you mentioned, because remember the casino scene, very cool, by the way. And tell me what is your feelings when you saw, oh, I do something that works, not just on something that I like, but something that the people love. What is your, at the time, in the beginning, when you discover for the first time that you are in the good way for your project?
Yeah, I mean, so it's always great to see people use this stuff and that people are happy with it. It's like you said, as an artist, and I will tell you, it's I get lost in that term often because I don't know. It's hard for me to say that I'm an artist. I know I'm an artist. I know the process that we do. We create something that people admire. So I believe it. I believe that's art. Um, and I really enjoy seeing people use it in different ways. And I've been on both sides of it as an artist to have stuff that people, were indifferent to. I don't think I've ever made anything people are like, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. Shut up. But I think, like I said, seeing people use my stuff in their photography, or, people sending me pictures of their shelves and like, hey, I just want to show you how cool this was. And, some of the coolest stuff I've been sent is I've got a customer that will sometimes send me a picture of his two kids with uh, my Mythic pieces is in the floor, and they're playing with the sets. And like, man, that's awesome. That's awesome to be able to see that.
Cool. When you create back to the creation moment, because you told me that you did before a final piece is different paint samples sometimes, but
Mhm.
you also during the moment of the decision to the comparison to decide the good way to do pieces. For example, you pose also near your pieces the figure to understand how works the scale or the atmosphere for for one line or another one.
Yeah, I always use figures for, comparisons to look at, how does this figure look, or if you put four figures in here, how does it look, the angles of it, if you put them side by side. Like, I'll give you an example: the echelon set that we sold late summer, I think August, September last year, we sold that. And we designed it. It's a beautiful piece. The paint job on it, my wife Kelly does the majority of the painting, and she did this incredible paint job on it that is just so labor intensive that we're going to revisit that piece. We actually have a version 2 coming out. It's going to be more of the classic colors that the rest of our line has been, because it was just so labor intensive. But we even designed that set with a special floor that had notches cut out where you could put two of these things together, and it made this great hallway piece. So it's always something to behold, to see when people come up with different ways to use this stuff. And just taking the time to really enjoy what people do with it, I think is important. Step back and look at it as an artist to say, wow, people do appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, cool. Tell me, you did a lot of stuff and different pieces, different diorama pieces. Tell me what is the most difficult piece to create and why was the most difficult?
um of everything we've done, the most difficult, so sometimes it comes down to a time frame. Hey, Walter, what's up, buddy? We're in a big
Welcome,
realm to
Walter.
my realm brethren that's popped in here. Um, Sometimes it's the time frame, I think, Alan, that makes stuff difficult. If you're under pressure to get something done in a particular amount of time, um, that always adds a layer of difficulty. Some of the stuff I did for some of the trade shows, I've definitely been challenged by from a time frame standpoint. You've got 30 days to make this crazy thing, and I don't do this for a living, so this is a nights and weekends gig for me a lot, especially back in the normal times. Um, so the pressure to get it, to get stuff done is difficult. From a design standpoint, the cell for the the cosmic, excuse me, the piece for the cosmic was uh, that was challenging. I had to step outside and take a walk a couple of times to clear my head, like you were saying earlier, on that piece, just because it's very precise, it's very exact in the way I designed it. You know, I didn't end up having as much time as I would have liked to get that done, by no one's fault really, other than my own. So that was taxing. In the door, we talked about earlier, that that one was challenging. I just had to kind of break the code on how to do it. Now I know how to do it. It's not anywhere near as intimidating as it was at first.
And speaking of schedule of work in progress, well, after you got the pre-order for the your site, how many times you need to create a pieces? Because I think it's not a short process also to create this stuff, especially when you got many order from you.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm
How
sorry.
much
What was your question?
how much time you need to.
Okay, how much time?
And
So
always difficult also schedule everything because you need to schedule if you're different order, every order is a different piece, one different pieces. Organize this stuff, I think is not easy.
it's not, but luckily my wife, who is my business partner, and she does the painting and the packing. I couldn't do this without her. I've often said, even if you just did the packing, I'd still be 50-50 with you, because it's such a chore to pack that stuff. You saw how it came, right? So every order goes out like that. Um, but that, I think having that connection, to be able to work with her, and she schedules everything out. So she makes worksheets of breaks down even what pieces you need to cut. So she'll give us the cut sheet, and these are, you need X amount of this piece and that piece. And then we'll know, on another worksheet of what goes, how many of this piece and how many of that piece. So we'll know how to assemble it. So she takes the time to break down all that stuff on spreadsheets, and then prints it out for us, and we have it in the workshop, because some pieces need X amount of this piece on the CNC mill, and then you need this many pieces off the laser for it, and maybe these 3D print things have to go, and then some of them might have lights, and part of it is done in PVC, and then there's a fabric piece. So my wife's a godsend on this, because she organizes everything, and really puts us in our place, so to speak.
So you are a lucky man, because you are good
Yeah.
chemistry, and also because in general it's not easy find someone also in your life in general, find someone with a good chemistry, because in general sometimes you find someone in a different world, it's difficult at the communication in general. So works together is once again with a good chemistry is a very lucky situation. It's not easy to find something like some situation like that.
And it's not easy to work with your spouse. Trust me, we fight like cats and dogs over the silliest business things. No, we don't fight like cats and dogs, but we have heated conversations quite often about the way we're doing things, or the way this is set up, or whatever. So, it's part of our family dynamic at this point. But we get along fine. It's just how sometimes you want to yell at the people you work with and you can't. Well, you shouldn't yell at your spouse, but sometimes you might say something a little louder than you should.
This is in general is a typical in every relationship. Also, when you don't work with your wife or your girlfriend, have a strong conversation sometimes, because it's not. I think in general, men and girls are in two different worlds. Sometimes with a beautiful chemistry, sometimes fight each other because
Mhm.
they have a different concept of the life. No, and
Right.
sometimes it's not easy these two worlds and a good connection. But I think you are very lucky yourself for that, because you can work together and create this awesome project. So that means that the chemistry is very good.
Yeah, it is. It is. And luckily it shows in the product, that, we get along and can work together to get this stuff out to people.
I think because if I see something in your background that you are a collector too.
Oh, it's a problem. Yes, sir. I am a collector of many things. Too many
Tell me
things. So is my
something.
wife. My wife's also a collector, so that helps out.
That's another lucky situation, because in
Yeah.
general it's not easy to find a wife or a girlfriend that have this passion. Sometimes looks you
Yeah.
like a weird man that collecting toys and you just play set. What is that stuff?
Yeah, so she didn't collect or even know anything about collecting until, we got together. So
Okay,
she didn't bring that to the relationship. I guess I rubbed off on her, me and the kids. So, but yeah, I collect all sorts of stuff.
cool. Because you are lucky also, because I try to do something similar with my girlfriend,
Mhm.
and one of the reasons that I created this huge chess board game for my Mythic Legions. No, I don't know if you saw the video, because it's a video that is a project that I revealed in the Christmas night, and I created this in troll scale board chess game for my Mythic Legions.
No,
And I
that's
create
awesome.
for these two projects, but are related, because I create two factions. So black faction, because in the chess game we have
Mhm.
the the black faction, the black versus white. So I created two different factions with these names, and I decide which character put in one faction on the other, and I change a little bit also the rules to involve more pawns in the game, also because to have a reason to collecting more stuff. Or,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I decided to do this one because my girlfriend loved playing chess with me. So
Okay.
why not create a huge board chess game, because measuring is a 5 feet 3 inches wide, this chess board, and you
Hmm.
put board big chess game in my toy room studio. And I decided, why not create a chess game with the Mythic Legions? And at the same time, I decided to create a stop motion series with the storyline to motivate why we have these two different factions in the board game chess, and also why some character is in one faction instead of the other one. So I created this project. But one of the reasons why is to put my girlfriend in this collecting stuff, because it's to to do something like you did, but it's not easy. But because of the chess, she liked it. During the Christmas holidays, she was able to play that. I try to, when
That's
you we
cool.
play when you play the game, to do a little lesson of Mythic Legion. This guy is called Atlus, this other one is Under Gold, and do some stuff like that.
Right.
However, I
That's
think
neat.
that Mythic Legion is a big push for creativity. Is the reason why on the Cabal we saw many artists create amazing stuff, and also an artist like you find, I believe, the paradise for your creativity in this world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Cabal is I remember I was we were at Legions Con, and Cornboy was standing there, and I said, "What do you think all these people would be doing for a creative outlet if they weren't, since if this wasn't here?" You know, you wonder, like, and I'm sure everybody has a background in some sort of hobby stuff, but I know so many people who have just picked up, you know, painting the Mythic Legions and building these customs and all these incredible 3D parts, 3D printed parts that are available from so many awesome, you know, creators. And even those people, the sculptors and you know, the people who run these 3D print companies, you know, what would they be doing? So it's been such a creative outlet for these people that, you know, it's really cool to see them show off their art. You know, I don't have a ton of custom work in my case. I've got a handful of pieces from some friends. I see beautiful pieces all the time, and I'm like, man, I need to get some more of those, some custom stuff. But oh, it's overwhelming how many awesome pieces there are out there.
Very beautiful. That's true. And before the to go live, we talks about a little bit our mutual passion of wrestling. You
Yes,
never thought to create some stuff for background about wrestling?
I mean, you can't see all of my shelves back here. I do have a little project that I've done. It's not finished, but I've got eyes on some things. I've got a couple things back here. Maybe I'll show you after we get off the air, because I'm not quite ready to show it completely live yet, because it's not done. But yeah, I've got my eye on some stuff. You know, I know there's other people out there that do some wrestling stuff, and I just got to figure out a way to work it in, man. Get into, you know, I don't have an audience, a huge audience for the wrestling stuff. But I've got my eye on some things. You know, I've got a whole Billy bookcase back here, really two Billy bookcases from IKEA for my wrestling collection that I've got plans for. But you know what they say about plans; they're best laid. Um,
Speaking of wrestling, which line do you collect?
so I'm all in, no pun intended, on AEW. I just order the waves when they come out. Um,
They do a good figures. I know that because Jeremy Padawer of Just Wars
yep.
was 2 time in my show,
Oh, really?
and he
That's great.
talks. Yes, he talks a lot about this line. It's very
Hmm.
good, these figures, my opinion. Also because they start to have some deep cut in the roster. Also,
Yeah, so they definitely have. I mean, and look, people complain about any wrestling line, any toy line, really, you know, right? So, you know, like in Transformers, you're always going to have an Optimus Prime and a Megatron. You're always going to have those guys. So yeah, you may get a wave that's got like um uh the Murder Hog Monster, Lance Archer, and Nyla Rose, but you're going to get a Cody Rhodes in that wave too, because you're going to get Cody, you're going to get Jericho, you're going to get Kenny Omega, you know, you're going to get those guys. But yeah, they got some deep cuts. They're going super deep. I'm excited to get the best friends wave and the Dark Order wave. That one looks great. I'm looking forward to getting that one as well. And I pick up some of the ultimates from WWE. You know, I've got the Ric Flair, the Hogan, just really stuff that speaks to me as a you know, a wrestling fan more than a collector. Growing up, you know, watching Ric Flair and then Stone Cold and stuff like that. Just the ones that really speak to me. I'm not trying to go all in on the WWE by any means. And I just ordered the AEW trading cards. Unbelievably, there's trading cards from Upper Deck. I actually have a couple. I've got Danielson and Punk. They were the mailaways. I've got those already. But yeah, love me some wrestling, man. I'm going to GCW next month in New York City if everything plays out right. Actually, it's this month. It's in like 2 weeks. It snuck up on me. I love wrestling.
Me too. I love, as I told you before the show, especially I'm a golden era fan of the 80s WWF. And for this channel, I create with my friend, the a WWF Hasbro Federation because I'm a big fan of the little Hasbro, no?
Oh
And
yeah, the Hasbro's figure, sure.
for the Hasbros, I created many custom figures of character of the 80s or the early 90s that they never had a figure. For
Right.
example, an action figure for Mystic Link, that was a character of the 80s, or Dino Bravo. I never had actually at the time an Hasbro figure, or King Kong Bundy or Big John Studd, or guys of the new generation era like Jean-Pierre Lafitte. Also, many deep cuts because they create this many years ago. I created before on Facebook with my page called My Race Federation, and then on this channel, a stop motion series also for that. We are close to 200 episodes. And for this show, I create the storyline between the characters, like a real federation of action figure. I create the stop motions. So I like so much wrestling, especially I like these days, because those days, back in these old days, the magic of wrestling, in my opinion, was bigger than today, because today we have a social media. In my opinion, it's not a good thing that you saw, for example, Brock Lesnar is the beast, but not too much Brock Lesnar. Braun Strowman, remember, was the monster that destroyed everyone, and you saw on Instagram himself with the puppets, with the puppy or little kids, a funny guy. I think that this broke a little bit the character, and also today.
Okay.
The people disbelieve wrestling. Some people goes to the arena just to do some noise because don't follow the storyline. Many times they follow the story are no good. But in my opinion, social media broke a little bit the magic of wrestling that we had in the old days. When we know at the time we didn't know nothing about the real life, and we followed just the story. These strange characters. What do you think?
It's good and bad. I mean, I don't know how well if wrestling was treated today in today's world like we treated wrestling in like 1987 from a kayfabe standpoint. If it would be as popular, if it would, I'm going to use this word. I don't mean it offensively. Almost cheesy. I think it has to be grounded in reality now because of social media, because everything's at our fingertips, because things like pro wrestling, there are no more secrets, right? So everybody, if you want to know everything there is to know about pro wrestling, and everyone who's ever been involved in pro wrestling, you just look up their name on the internet and it's there. Or how does pro wrestling work, or this, that, or the other. There's no secrets. And many trades are like that. Like, for example, this diorama stuff that I do. I would imagine in the 1980s, people that made this stuff, one, they weren't showing people how they did it. And two, they probably wouldn't tell you how they did it because it was a trade secret, right? Same with metal shaping or any sort of artisan work. People weren't freely giving away the secrets because that was how they made their living, and they didn't want someone else knowing how to do it. Pro wrestling, even to an extent, backyard wrestling got super popular here in the United States. Kids jumping on trampolines and doing pile drivers and all sorts of crazy stuff. So, those secrets were there, but, the real secrets of how to do it, you didn't know. And then you got exposed on TV and whatever. So I don't disagree that there was definitely a golden age for that stuff. But those bigger than life characters, I just don't think that would be believable to people as much. I'd say the last guard for that was The Undertaker.
Yes.
And now he's doing the Joe Rogan podcast. So, And listen, I give it up to Mr. Calloway for keeping it tucked in and being kayfabe for what, 30 years? And now we can finally do an interview and talk about whatever he wants to talk about with his wife. I think times have just changed, and the wrestling we have today is it's a lot more grounded in reality. I say that as people do 720 moonsaults into the crowd and stuff, but as far as the contact, I think it's a lot stiffer. People are laying it in a lot more. And I think now the storytelling element is not there in every match, but you're getting a narrative throughout the show, often one or two narratives to tell the story from point A to point B, ultimately to sell T-shirts and to sell tickets.
Yes,
and action figures and to sell action figures.
Yes, I'm agree with for some of that, because as a writer, to me the story is important, because I want a good, when I watch Vrez, I want to see a good story, good characters,
Yeah.
and also a good development of the story from different points of the story. And sometimes you see something that don't work very well. Also in the WWE, some pay-per-view they are lack of storyline. They put together a match just to put something in the cards because you need to put something in the cards, and for that I'm not really happy from today wrestling for that. And also because of the charisma we have, some of the new, if you watch the new guys of in general, uh, you think you understand that we haven't charisma like Mark Calloway, for example, the same level in general. It's difficult to find today something like that. Also, the people are in the main eventer. Yes, good wrestler, sometimes are good on the microphone. Sometimes because too much scripted, they lost also the skill to do a good promo when they need to learn the promo, and there's nothing about them real character they maybe they can have. So because of that, I think and also I don't like in general the cruiserweight. Is maybe it's my opinion, obviously, but I'm a guy that won't watch wrestling and see something extraordinary, not just a good athlete that looks like a butterfly that jump from one point of the ring to the other one. So I want to see something different, something like Goldust, for example, something freak also, no?
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, listen, I embrace it all. I watch a lot of deathmatch wrestling. I was involved in the wrestling business for a time back in the early 2000s. I ran a promotion down in Alabama, where I'm from. My brother-in-law actually still works the deathmatch indie wrestling scene all over the country, and I keep up with him and go to some shows with him from time to time. I enjoy it all. I enjoy the stiff stuff. I enjoy the strong style. I enjoy the New Japan style. I enjoy the acrobatic stuff, and I enjoy the hardcore stuff, and I enjoy when it all gets combined together. Not even on the same show, but in the same match. Some of these guys that are doing the death match stuff now are super athletic and are hitting hard and doing flips, and I don't know. It's just entertaining to me, man. Just love watching it and being around it, and I miss being in it, but it's just not something I can do right now. And it's a big part of my week.
Oh, cool. I'm not lucky like that because in Italy we haven't met too much wrestling. This small company do a few shows, especially today with the pandemic, everything is more difficult. But back to Mythic Legions. What is your favorite Mythic Legions character and why?
Man, that's tough. My favorite character, I like it. I'm awful at these names. I think it's Brother Mandiblus. Is that his name? The skeleton?
Yes.
I like him a lot. And I like Romulus a lot. I've got both of those. But yeah, I don't know, that the Magnus and the Balius horse, man, those are great too.
Magnus is an awesome figure.
Yeah. He's great, man. And the horses are just beautiful. I love the horses. I'm actually going to try to do a custom horse like like a couple people have done. Try to dye one. I got a couple I'm gonna tear apart to do that. So.
I think the values, the yours is a game changer for the
Hmm.
line because after that now we have also Ethan was Ethan. Ethan. This name is sometimes, especially as an Italian, is a
Atheon.
challenge. Ethan was another. I haven't this one because don't fit very well in my project, but another
Hmm.
good another example. Or now in the upcoming new future we have the Moose
Hmm.
Alder is
Yep.
another
Yep.
step for this, and also the new wave. What do you think about the Poxus wave, for example?
Oh man, I was lucky enough to get to see those prototype samples in person at Legion's Con. Then that Trevor does a fantastic job with the photography. Um, but seeing him with your own eyes in person, like that horse. Forgive me, I don't know his name, but like that dying, decaying horse, that's so freaking awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for it. There was a conversation in the Cabal this week about soft goods, and I collect mezco, I collect hot toys, so I'm good with the soft goods and appreciate them. So I welcome those. I'm really looking forward to the wizards and the genie and all that. I've actually got to place my order tomorrow. I'm down to the last minute here to do it, but yeah, I'm really like that wave. I'm looking forward to getting that in a year or so.
I like too because for my project I was looking for wizard, real wizard,
Yeah.
because yes, I got John Rune Shaper, for example, the dwarf wizard. You remember the blue dwarf with the blue armor was
Hmm.
basically the first one of the first wizard character in the line, but
Okay.
we never had before a typical wizard with a cape and this stuff with a wooden cape. So I like this way because of the wizard. I like also Thernok, the shaman orc, another beautiful character, or
Right.
Aragorn, the dragon seer character. So I pick six characters this way because they fit very well in my project. So all four mage, including the female mage. The name is Trashy, I don't know, something like that.
I don't know
I
I
pick.
never know their names. I'm awful with that.
I remember Samir, the other mage, the other one. I forgot the. However, the four mage, the four wizards, including the female Zend and also the female one, and the orc shaman and the dragon seer because they works in my project because I pick character that can work in my storyline, the story that I I built for my project stop motion. But back to your work with the diorama. For example, when you watch a new wave like Poxus or yes, they use also your previous diorama pieces, but
Hmm.
they inspire you to create something new. For example,
Sometimes the characters might. I mean, I've had some things in mind for wizards for a long time. I just hadn't really fleshed it out in my head, and I have a couple things that I've kind of roughly started working on for horses in general. That I need to work on. So yeah, sometimes the characters will give me an idea. That the genie kind of opens up a whole different angle you could go with this stuff. If Grisha maybe would be another one that would fit in well. Hey, I knew one of their names, Grisha. Um, I think that would fit in well with maybe some more Arabian designs, possibly. So yeah, it's definitely an inspiring line, from that angle for sure.
and let's see also what happened with the new line, the Figura Obscura, because now we have just Krampus.
Right.
And also, this line, I think, when we become, yes, I think I understand there will not a big schedule like the Cosmic of Mythic, but I think it will be more. And when we got more figures, more project in this line, I think you got new landscape also for your project because you with your project with your mythic pieces and now also about cosmic, you got also the audience of the Forosman Studio, by the way. And so if they expand a little bit their landscape, expand also your possibility to do new stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think stuff like the figure obscura line that can go so many different directions, and the sky's the limit. with that. So there could be some other creations, whether it's some more more outside stuff or more ruins or things like that. Not solid, like build a castle, more of just what you might find in a field kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely neat that they kind of snuck that in on us at the end of the year. The figure obscura with the Krampus, right in time for the holidays. It's a really cool figure, anyways. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit with that line, so it could be some interesting pieces that I could come up with to go along with it.
You never thought to create like a big play set composed by many different diorama pieces, for example. So a big, maybe for example, a big castle uh, composed by many diorama pieces. You never thought about that?
So this line was kind of spawned. We did a commission project in the beginning of 2020. That was one big castle. I mean, interior castle. It was big sweeping columns, had ceiling pieces, um, yeah, a door at one end, a big window at the other, and that was just one big piece. And the price of that is really what we would be constricted to. That is, it would be an expensive piece because it's big, it's huge, it's to ship. It's going to be a nightmare. I can remember the one we did ship. Shipping was it would probably be we shipped it halfway across the country. Mr. Allen, I probably could have almost shipped it to you for that much. It was just so, that's something we have to keep in mind is are people going to pay $100 to ship this, right? So, um, yeah, we've thought about releasing that in some capacity, but selling it in parts. But at the same time, we've kind of given you that ability with the pieces we have, because you may need to build a castle that is a different shape than the next guy, right? You may not need as many pieces. You may only need it to be 36 inches long, a meter long instead of 1.5 or whatever. So, part of the reason I like the modularity that we offer is, like I said, I don't want to tell you how to play with your toys or set up your photography or your stop motion or your board game or however you want to do it. So that's why we like to give these options, so you don't have to have, well, I ordered this thing and I can only use half of it. What am I going to do with the rest of it? You know, I'd rather offer some more reasonably priced pieces where if you want to build this huge thing, sure, here it is. Here's all the pieces for it. And I want to continue to offer pieces, maybe a ceiling at some point where if you want to make this enclosed space for your photography or for your display setup, you can.
Cool. And speaking of other stuff, like for example, trees or a little bit more natural elements, you never
Hmm.
thought to do something like that also?
I've I've been haunted, I'll say, by trees my entire time doing these dioramas. I'm looking right now at trees that I made that I just don't think are good enough to put out for the general public. I made some stuff for myself. I made some stuff for some friends. How do I say this? I think there's people that do that better than I can. So I'm gonna let them do it. If it was a situation where I was commissioned for this project that it involved doing some trees, I'll do some trees. But to do them at the level I think I would be satisfied to send that out to 50, 60, however many trees that some customers bought, I'm just not confident in what we put out is as good as what else you can buy right now.
For example, for my Mythic Legions, yeah, like for outdoor scene, I have there is in my toy room studio
Hmm.
a wall. In this wall, there is sculpted inside by my father did this job, a huge diorama with forest, with the real stone, real woods to create this forest.
Wow.
Maybe if you want, I can show you one of my stop motion.
Yeah.
Maybe with the stop motion with the stone troll to because it's more easy to explain how big is this diorama. One of this diorama because and just the part that you can see in the stop motion is just a little part of this diorama,
Okay.
and I have three huge diorama, and this one is the bigger, and this big diorama have different parts. And you can see in this stop motion how big is this one because you can compare the size with the stone troll with the diorama. So I I search now that I show you now. I share it now. In the beginning, there is an intro. The intro is not a stop motion. It's an intro basically that I put in every My Mythic Legions video, unboxing, review, and also a stop motion series. After the intro, start the episode. So there we go. There is
Don't feed the stone troll. Oh, that looks great.
and this is it. But
Nice.
it's just to show you how big is the diorama. But
It's big.
And the scene that you can see is just a little part of this diorama, because there is more deep inside. There is another part in the background, another side. And I have other too, because it's just, I share on the Cabal also my toy room tour that I did for the last night of the end of the year. And I show you a little bit more always this wall with this diorama that I use also to display in general my vintage Master of the Universe, the old one. And you can see how it works, because you can find this huge like a tree window in the wall. And inside you can find this diorama, and the stone are real stone. The three are real three pieces are woods and repainted. And my dad did this stuff many years ago.
That's cool.
So it's time for the last question, my friend, because we are close to 1 hour. And the last question is, there is something that you never did until now, and still a dream that you want to realize in your future, a big dream for your projects.
A big dream project. Wow. Man. I don't know. That's a good question. You know, I remember the first time I had, work published in toy photography, like professional for a company. It was like, wow, this is awesome. What's next? And it's just keeps on being cool, man. I don't have a good answer, man. We've done just so much cool. So I'll tell you what it is. It's to have something in wrestling, like my work be used in some sort of official professional wrestling capacity. I think that would be cool, because that's just been such a passion of mine for so long, and to be able to have work, published for something like one of the official wrestling companies, to use what I make, or ask me to make something specific. I think that would be really cool. I think that would probably be my answer after thinking it through.
And now I back to the piano. That means, guys, that we are to the end. But before to say goodbye to all of you guys, don't forget, next week, Saturday 15 January at 9 p.m. Eastern, will be Cameron Smith for Horsemen to talk about his work with Horsemen on the channel. So, guys, don't forget next week, next episode. And now I go to the piano. Thanks for watching, my friends. And don't forget to subscribe the channel and share on social media the video. And go to crashboxcustom.com to enjoy every project by Chris. And don't forget that more is coming from Crashbox Custom, and more is coming on this channel. Thank you, Chris, to enjoy the show.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you guys to watch the show. Bye bye to all of you, my friends. See you next week for another show. Bye bye, my friends. Goodbye. Bye.